Stinky Ape Stinky Ape Summer. Hello and welcome to the Kongversation. I'm Hyle Russell.
And I am Dustin Jackson.
Well, that sucked.
What a sucky thing that happened today. Oh, wait, never mind.
Yeah, no, you know what? Donkey Kong is over. Let me just, hold on, I'm deleting my website. And yeah, all right, time to become an investment banker.
Woo! It's about time. I feel like this has always been the path you were destined to go down.
Yeah, we, of course, like to say that famous Harvey Dent quote from The Dark Knight, you know, you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
To see yourself delete your website and become
right.
an investment banker.
No, I'm joking. I'm just stalling for time. We are live right now.
Hello.
On twitch.tv/DKVine. We are a mere few hours after the big Donkey Kong Bananza Direct. Okay?
Hyle, we might be live, but are we truly living?
I don't know. I haven't checked my pulse since about 9 a.m. It's been a roller coaster of emotion I have been working on my fucking article for DK Vine. I just published it not 5 minutes ago. That's how ill-prepared I am because I have just been rushing all morning. Of course, I spent some time posting on Blue Sky, posting in the Inner Circle Discord, and just been talking with fellow fans, but also trying to do my work. And this is one of the biggest days for Donkey Kong fandom in over a decade, I would say, just based on everything that we learned today and so many revelations, some that we did not get, some that just raise further questions. So this Donkey Kong Bonanza Direct, prophesized since April, this was about a little over 16 minutes long. And while I am not used to having an entire Direct, even if it's that short, dedicated to Donkey Kong news. I know we had the Super Nintendo World Donkey Kong Country Direct back in November, but this one in particular, it was just like, I can't keep up. Usually what I do is if we get anything cool announced during a Nintendo Direct, I can just tune out the rest of the Nintendo Direct. And I had to stay focused. I had to stay engaged, and we kept learning stuff. And I was like, just slow down. Like, I would be fine, Dustin. Like any other day, any other week, any other news cycle, just having that giant ostrich be wearing espresso shoes, that would have been enough to fuel months.
I clapped when I saw them.
That would have been enough to fuel months of discussion, multiple conversations. I don't know how to deal with this new world that we find ourselves in, where Donkey Kong's a top-tier Nintendo franchise again, and stuff is just casually dropped one after another, and I'm like,
I'm not used to this world where Donkey Kong gets a game.
All right, well, let's just dive into it. We are live. I'm going to try to keep up the live stream as best I can. People are chatty.
Oh, We got some chatty Cathys today.
Chatty Cathys, chatty
Cathys today.
Cathy. Yeah, chatty, and
Gaddy.
very opinionated, and lots of theories being bounced around.
Yeah, a lot of questions brought up in this direct.
Which I love. I love that
Yeah.
they obviously touched upon the spoiler we have been dancing around since April, since Nintendo of Korea accidentally uploaded the wrong art assets that should have gone live today. And we have been very disciplined at DK Vine, not discussing this on the Kongversation. We only did one news article about it, and we buried it under all these spoiler-proof measures. So, it's liberating to finally be able to talk about the Pauline of it all and not really have to hide and skirt around the obvious anymore. 'Cause we all knew it, right? I think anybody listening to the Conversation probably knew this because it was probably spoiled for you the day of. And if not that, then a YouTube thumbnail would have spoiled it for you. Somewhere along the way, you probably would have been spoiled. But I'm very proud that we stay true to our ethos. So round of applause, Dustin. You did a good job.
Thanks, Hyle. You know what? I really brought it. I earned this applause.
You did bring it. So Pauline is Odd Rock. Well, not necessarily. We don't know yet who this is, except she is a young girl with brown hair and singing qualities who is named Pauline. But Dustin, so this is a far younger version of Pauline than we are accustomed to. And a lot of theories right now, a lot of people are just taking this at face value and thinking that Donkey Kong Bonanza is some bizarre prequel, or they're just throwing the entire timeline in a blender. And, I'm not dismissing any possibility as of yet, but I think Occam's razor, Odd Rock's razor, suggest that the simplest explanation with everything we know is that this is either a daughter or a relative, like a niece or a cousin of the Pauline we already know. And
yeah, I mean, I really don't even know where I land on it. I don't know what I feel like is the most possible outcome. I don't know what to think.
There's also the possibility that this is Pauline, but she has been de-aged through the Odd Rockification process that Voidco put her through. And she will be restored to her natural adult self at the end of the game. And a lot of people think oh, so this must be a prequel. This must be the very first Donkey Kong game. And that doesn't really work for a few reasons.
Yeah.
Mostly, the biggest piece of evidence, beyond all the references, beyond all the homages, beyond the characters who are in it, is the fact that Cranky references being the original Donkey Kong in dialogue. And he references fighting Mario.
Right.
So, like I said, I'm not dismissing anything because we just don't know how this is all going to pan out even. And I'm just kind of going to enjoy the ride,
Yeah, at this point, I mean, like I said, I have no idea what direction they could head in. It's I'm happy to find out. I don't know if I feel particularly strong about one way or the other. It is very weird, but cool. One thing that I thought was interesting, this is kind of jumping ahead a little bit, but since we're talking about Pauline right now, at the end of the direct today, they have a little scene where they're free falling, and Pauline says something like, yo, Donkey Kong, I have this dream. Maybe if we get up to the surface, I can make that dream a reality or something like that. That's not word for word. But I guess what could that be hinting? Could that be hinting at her going on to become the Pauline of the future? I think that could be a hint towards prequel theory, even though it still doesn't really make sense with the stuff Cranky said either.
Yeah, like everybody's
it's weird. It's weird. It's strange.
Everybody's saying Odyssey prequel, Odyssey prequel. Well, we also have to factor in the Donkey Kong arcade games.
Yeah.
And every other appearance that Pauline has made with Donkey Kong over the last 20 years. So, like, the fact that other characters are in it too, and that
Diddy and Dixie.
Well, don't spoil it, man. You're giving the game away. I like to build up. Man. I like to edge. I like to build up to the spectacular climax, and now it's just a little.
I like to blow my load multiple times.
Oh, okay.
In a row.
Well, that's your specialty. That's your gimmick.
That's my Bananza power up.
Yeah. Dustin multi-load Jackson over here.
That's what happens when Donkey Kong gets the Dustin Bananza.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think that we have to keep all possibilities in mind. Now, there's also the possibility that because the plot of the game, and you know what? Let me just read you Nintendo's press release. I'm not going to read the whole thing, just the relevant paragraph about what Voidco are after, about what Donkey Kong and Pauline are after, and, maybe we can make some sense of this, okay?
You know what, Hyle? Let's do that thing, what you just said.
Let's just do the thing I said. All right.
Yeah.
Legend has it, the planet's core has the ability to grant your heart's desire. So Donkey Kong and Pauline set off on a quest to reach it. Pauline hopes it will be able to return her to the surface, while Donkey Kong plans to ask it for more, what else? Bananas. Unfortunately, they aren't the only ones seeking the planet's core. The Void Company is also racing there for their own nefarious purposes. A villainous mining operation whose reach extends through every layer of the planet. Voidco is not only responsible for the banana-stealing maelstrom that sent Donkey Kong hurtling underground in the first place, but they are also responsible for turning Pauline into Odd Rock. As they all dig deeper towards the planet's core, Donkey Kong and Pauline must do whatever they can to get there first. So, the planet core, and boy, this just opens up further Kremlin theorists, like the conspiracy theorists who are like believe that there is some sort of connection between this game and the Kremlin source and the crocodile core. And we know Voidco is trying to reach the planet core because there is this magical energy there that can grant your wishes. It can make your heart's truest desire a reality. And in the direct, towards the very end, Void Kong. Oh yeah, the three Voidco simians, they all have names now. We'll get to that. Void Kong, the little monkey, the little leader, mentions the Banandium root. So probably the source of all of the Banandium energy, what makes Banandium powerful, what makes it so full of potential and mystical and magical and explosive properties, it is in the planet core itself. So everybody's trying to get there, and they all have their own MOs. They all have their driving reasons to get there. So it's possible.
What I like about that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, sorry. You go ahead.
I was just going to say it's possible, however unlikely, that maybe this is a prequel and a sequel at the same time. Hear me out. So maybe in the natural flow of time, Pauline was never present in the events of Donkey Kong Arcade. Hear me out. And it was just some sort of beef between Cranky and Mario. And then later, Mario and Cranky and Donkey Kong Jr. And then maybe Pauline grants or casts her wish, and she's then retroactively inserted throughout Donkey Kong's history.
Her wish is, I wish I was kidnapped by a big gorilla.
Effectively, nicer than that. But it's interesting.
You know, in Super Smash Brothers, the spirits. In the spirits in Super Smash Brothers Ultimate, nowhere is she called Pauline. She's called, the spirit for that says Donkey Kong and Lady.
Hey, lady! Yeah, I think... I don't know if they would do that harsh of a retcon. Like,
definitely not.
Like, oh yeah, Pauline was never Pauline. Pauline is just
that was just Lady.
Pauline is just this new character we invented for the second Mario versus Donkey Kong game. Don't worry about it. Yeah, like that would be a harsh retcon. Like we could be looking at like a one book situation, Shades of Ukulele here, where they do some timeline rewriting. And so like I said, prequel and sequel at the same time. That would be dumb. That would be dumb as hell. I think I would hate that, but I would respect the game. I would respect the convoluted nature to get there.
I guess so. Yeah, it would definitely be a choice. I don't know if I would like it, but I guess I wouldn't necessarily think it's the worst either.
Yeah. Terminally Online points out in Mario Odyssey, she says she was captured by an ape. Yes, but this would retcon Mario Odyssey is what I'm saying. If people are so married to this being the young Pauline, no de-aging, first time she ever meets Donkey Kong, the only way to make it all work is the Banandium root at the planet core changes the timeline. And then we're just getting into dumb, stupid, anything goes territory. So I'm going to have some wishes when I get down there, Dustin.
Yeah, it's very weird. I'm interested in seeing where it goes, but one thing I like about this plot is, it's very simple, but it does give a motivation for Donkey Kong and Pauline. It's not just, we are here to be the protagonists of this game and stop the evil villains.
Yeah. I mean, I like that, and I like that it's definitely putting Donkey Kong into this father figure role. And it's shades of, I mean, I know Wreck-It Ralph has been the go-to comparison since the reveal on April 5th from Nintendo of Korea, but I mean, I'm seeing like, Journey into the West, I'm seeing Lone Wolf and Cub, a little bit of The Mandalorian, which itself was inspired by so many things. Right. Even, I don't know if you ever watched the Thor movies, Dustin?
Boy, I sure haven't.
Okay, well, I wouldn't recommend watching the last one, but that's unfortunately the relevant thing I'm discussing. In the fourth Thor movie, Love and Thunder, this is the plot, essentially. They have to reach, in that movie, it's eternity. They have to reach eternity for their greatest wish to come true. And Christian Bale, his greatest wish is to kill all the gods. And that includes Thor, so that's a problem for Thor. But when they all get there in the eternity zone, then it's just like, oh, why don't you wish for your daughter to be alive? And I'll raise your daughter. So it's just like, oh yeah, did Shigeru Miyamoto just watch Thor 4 in a drunken haze. I don't think
that gives me an idea.
No, but this is rooted in so much of mythology and stories passed down across the ages. So I really am fond of this. This is kind of a brilliant pairing, no matter the identity of this Pauline. I see Traveler of the Stars is very adamant that this is an Odyssey prequel. I just don't think there's any way to ascertain one way or another at this point and be steadfast sure, because they did go out of their way to, even though they didn't call her Pauline Jr. or Lil Pauline or like Paulinette or whatever, they did go out of
Pauline.
They did go out of their way to avoid referencing anything to do with the established relationship between Pauline and the Kongs and Nintendo history. So it's interesting. It's interesting. And like I said, it raises further questions. But just looking in on what we know, these 16 minutes of footage during the Direct, I just love the idea. And I've been thinking about this since April 5th, of course, but I just love the idea of Donkey Kong becoming a reluctant father figure. And especially, it's kind of a way to repair the generational harm between the Kongs and the Paulines. I don't know. Because, you know, the whole Donkey Kong series, the notion of Donkey Kong started as a King Kong pastiche with the young Cranky Kong abducting the older Pauline, or lady, if you will. And, I mean, if we're retconning that, are we retconning Mario being Jumpman? Is Jumpman just this guy named Jumpman?
Jumpman's Mario's father, obviously, Hyle.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, you know what?
I don't believe any of that to be the case, but it would be kind of neat, I guess.
Well, that would be wild. That would be wild if we're just completely like eschewing everything we thought we knew. Mario is not villainous. It's just his dick dad. Donkey Kong is not villainous. It's just his dick dad. You know, like.
And they bond over having dick dads.
Yeah. Which was kind of a thing in the Super Mario Brothers movie. So
that's true.
I mean, I do think everything from the past couple of years is pointing towards Nintendo leaning that this modern Donkey Kong, as we've known him since 1994, is an adult Donkey Kong Jr. I mean, DK Vine's understanding of it since the 90s, but something that's become a controversial thing in recent decades. And I think everything we've seen from the Super Mario Brothers movie to the Mario Kart World promotion suggests that is their internal reckoning. And how this all plays into Cranky, his role in the game, Pauline, her role in the game, the history with Mario, it's fascinating. They're actually going there. And in one bit, we do see Cranky and the young Pauline, like they do interact. There will be some acknowledgement from Cranky, and I'm very curious what that's going to look like.
Yeah, I really want to know what Cranky has to say about this whole deal.
Yeah, we are, like, the stuff we've seen from the demo, from the Nintendo Switch 2 events, has been carefully amended to avoid any whiff of young Pauline or even Rambi aside from the dialogue. So I'm wondering how much we've seen so far is heavily edited.
Yeah, I mean, just look at the box art. That was the Odd Rock stuff. They kept that under wraps. How much else are they hiding?
Which is just part of the like rollout of info and the hype cycle that Nintendo's generating. Nintendo's a lot better at doing this kind of thing than they were even 10 years ago. But I do find it funny that we just hid behind the Odd Rock fiction for over 2 months. And now that's just thrown out the window. And I have to say, I grew attached to Odd Rock, even knowing a couple days after what Odd Rock probably was. I grew attached to just the idea of Odd Rock, and I'm kind of going to miss seeing Odd Rock from here on out.
I kind of wonder if we'll end up seeing other odd rocks in this game. Like you know what I mean? Like other characters who were turned into these same rocks.
Yeah. It's possible, like, this is how they're going to get Swanky Kong in there. It's like, oh, who's this odd rock? Oh, it's Swanky! It's like the name
It's
that
who's
Pokemon.
that Pokemon?
Yeah. So, yeah, I do like young Pauline, whoever she is, just from a pure, blunt, like, conceptual idea. This is the kind of thing I probably wouldn't have been on board with until we started talking about Vicarious Visions Donkey Kong game. And I think that really did plant the seeds for this to eventually be okay with me. Because for those who don't know, our reporting on the Vicarious Visions Donkey Kong project, which was originally going to be the next Donkey Kong game after Tropical Freeze, brought about because of their work on the Skylanders Superchargers game and Donkey Kong's own role in that, was going to have Pauline as a playable character.
Yeah. I like Pauline being considered part of the DK series. Like, she's just a cool thing to expand on the cast with. Even though she's a big part of Mario Odyssey, like, you know, a lot of people are going to consider her a Mario character now with that in Mario Kart World. But I like her being connected to the DK cast.
I think it's okay for her to be shared between the two. Like, the one character.
They have shared custody.
The one character that's allowed to cross over. And in fact, if this isn't any, like, form, be it de-aged or timeline madness of the original Pauline, it would kind of be cool to then have, like, oh, Mario, you get Pauline the Elder. Donkey Kong, you get Pauline the Junior. And that's how we divide up Paulines. Everybody gets a Pauline if you want one. I'm fine with it.
Who gets on her deathbed, Pauline?
Oh, that can be WarioWare.
Okay, yeah, that sounds good.
No.
She has her own little micro games. That would be great.
I would have hated this just 6-7 years ago, before I started hearing about the project Donkey Kong Freedom and hearing what Vicarious Visions was up to. I think that kind of build up my tolerance for this. Again, like consuming small doses of poison. Just the idea, not just even reincorporating Pauline so much, but having a human character have such a prominent role in a modern Donkey Kong game seems so antithetical to what I would like. But this just works, and I think it's because it plays into a lot of mythic qualities, and it also, I think, makes Donkey Kong a more interesting character, rather than give him his own biological child. And now that Diddy is kind of his equal, at least in the eyes of longtime fans, this kind of allows him to have that relationship all over again, but in a different context and a different sort of flavor to it.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it's a great move. I'm on board with it. I have no complaints about Pauline other than just wondering what the hell her deal is.
What the hell is her deal? Yeah. And I'm a little trepidatious about it, but here's the thing. I know they're not going to completely salt the earth too much. Like, right. I know they're going to do it in a way that, look, Shigeru Miyamoto is not going to sign off on them just steamrolling the arcade games.
Yeah.
And everything we know about Pauline and Mario and Donkey Kong, like the three original Nintendo characters, effectively. It's not, I mean, like, yeah, they would steamroll Stanley the Bugman, because who the fuck cares? But These three are so important to Miyamoto that I don't think this is being done out of any disregard for the canon, if you will. In fact, I'm not worried because this game is the most respectful game I've seen towards Donkey Kong canon in quite a long time. Just
Yeah, the only reason we have to be worried is if they bring back Wrinkly Kong and she's alive again.
yeah, well then it's a prequel for sure.
That's true. That's true. That would make it actually fit more.
Maybe Cranky gets to the planet core first, and that's his wish.
Is that Wrinkly is dead?
So I want to have sex with my wife again. Is that not enough? She just comes with us on vacation as a ghost.
So I thought you were saying if this was a prequel that Cranky is wishing for his wife to die.
Yeah, we've always wondered how he did it.
The wish I wanted most.
Like OJ, how did he do it? Oh, it just turns out he went to the planet core and made a wish.
It turns out that's the big twist of this game. That's the whole story of the game, is finding out how Wrinkly died.
The perfect crime. No, I could even see this just being Pauline. This is Pauline, but the game sees her then time travel back to the past. Like, not even a timeline rewrite so much as just she is sent back to the past to, for whatever reason, like to live her life with the Kongs and as a singer and eventually becoming mayor of New Donk City. And then I do think the end of the game will see an appearance by adult Pauline. And Donkey Kong's going to be all sad because he has to say goodbye to young Pauline, but there's old Pauline, and it's okay.
It's okay. She still exists.
And it does. If this is the original Pauline, then this recontextualizes the relationship that she's always had, and it shows why she's always been cool with the Kongs, even though Cranky abducted her in 1981. Because she knew how it's going to turn out.
Right. She's seen it happen.
Yeah. So there's a lot of theories right now. I don't know which one I like best. Maybe the time travel one will grow on me. But
I think where I'm at with it is I'm just ready to roll with the punches, whatever it is. Like, I don't know what to think, and if one explanation ends out winning over the others, it's like, okay, that's what we're living with.
Yeah. I don't think this is going to be a prequel to anything, though. That's where I'm putting my foot down. That would be a bit too much for me. I think this is just going to be the new Donkey Kong adventure set in the here and now after everything that's come before, except when it comes to Pauline. And of course, that's part of the mystery of the game, right? Like, that is the mystery. It's not Odd Rock. It's not what is Odd Rock? Why is Odd Rock? It's, okay, why is Pauline?
What is the deal with this Pauline?
Yeah, and that's why this is not a spoiler. That's why this is on the front of the box art. That's why it's an amiibo. So,
yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to find out and see where this goes. And I like that this gives us so much to speculate about beforehand.
Yeah, and co-op. We got co-op in this. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's the same sort of not like super in-depth co-op that like other 3D Mario games have had before this, but it's still cool.
Yeah, it reminds me. It's not how the co-op works in Donkey Kong Country Returns or Tropical Freeze, but just Pauline being on Donkey Kong's shoulders reminds me of how the Kongs ride on Donkey Kong's shoulders in those games. And Pauline even has a projectile attack similar to the Kongs who ride on Donkey Kong's shoulders.
Yeah, she shoots words.
She has such a horrible singing voice that she can destroy terrain in front of her. She's got the siren's call.
They should have had her say bad words, and then anything she hits is like, "Oh, why I never," and explodes.
She should be just a foul-mouthed little kid who was
Smoking, drinking.
raised on the streets of New Donk City. She is just all like crass, and she just spews, as you like to say, Dustin, she spits that nasty stuff.
She sure does spit that nasty stuff, and she should have a Cockney accent.
Well, that's better than Posh Ramby. I'll give you that.
That's true.
No, they should have had her, like, the words coming out of her mouth, the sonic cry. It should have been like the Conker's Bad Fur Day cursing.
Yeah, see, that would have been good.
That would have
the
been
skulls
great.
and the thunderbolts and stuff.
Right? No, I think this is cool. We knew there was going to be some sort of co-op based on website listings of the game. I haven't brought it up until now because I figured it was going to relate to Pauline. So, you know, it was just like, kind of like, yeah, we're whistling past the graveyard here. We know. But yeah, you can unleash Pauline's vocal blast using the Joy-Con 2 controller's mouse functionality. Sounds complicated, doesn't sound like a lot of fun. I probably will never use it, but hey. You can also use Game Share to share the game and play in co-op with another player locally, even if they're a Philistine, even if they're somebody who you shouldn't be friends with because they don't own Donkey Kong Bonanza.
Right. I think where I land on this co-op thing is... So when they did something like this for Mario Odyssey, how player 2 can be Cappy while player 1 is Mario, at the time, I did not have kids in my life, so I did not care. I was like, this is garbage. But now I have a niece
Young Pauline.
and 2 nephews. Yeah. But now I have a niece and 2 nephews who would love to do this while like I'm playing the normal game. That gives them something to do alongside me. Now, I'm like, oh, this will be cool for when I play this game with those kids in my family.
Now, my question to you, Dustin, is how do you know they're your niece and nephews and not just you time traveling and slightly disguised?
That's true. That could be a good point. I guess we'll find out at the end of the game.
How do we know this
life.
isn't a prequel to past adventures with Dustin Jackson?
I guess there's no way to know until we reach the credits.
Yeah, I'm excited. You know what? I never thought I would become so soft and flexible and not just so rigid that I would not accept something like this. That Donkey Kong is teaming up with a young version of Pauline in a 3D adventure, and I'm like, can't wait to find out more.
Yeah, I think flexible really is the key word. You know, that's something I've been telling myself for a lot of DKU things, just because they've been gone for so long.
Yeah.
Like, you just got to be flexible with what changes happen. Like, you don't have to like it. Like, you're not being forced to accept and love that DK and Pauline are partnered up in this game. But I think it helps to be flexible about what the series is and where it can go and what it can do going forward. We don't just want to be in the same spot forever.
Yeah. Well, I also just think that as I've and you and us and we, as we've discussed when we went back over Donkey Kong's redesign and Diddy Kong's redesign, and really just back through the last half decade and more of the Kongversation, and back to when we first started broaching the possibility that Nintendo EPD was taking in Donkey Kong. It's like, well, look, there are going to be things that are different. This isn't going to be one-to-one our vision of what Donkey Kong should be, and that's okay. Right. It's never going to be like that. I mean, Retro's games certainly weren't that.
Yeah, for sure.
And
I
honestly,
think. Oh, go ahead, Hyle.
I was just gonna say, honestly, even Rare kind of went off script. I mean, Donkey Kong 64, they did a lot of things that I don't think fit my vision of Donkey Kong.
Yeah, that
And
tomato, get out of here.
yeah. So, like, it's always, like, this is the platform peril of any long-running franchise, be it a video game, be it an animated property, be it a movie series that just never ends, is that eventually you're going to hit a point where it's just different. It's just going to evolve past the way it was when you were a kid. And you got to ask yourself, is it too much for me now? Like, is this still worthy of my time? Is this still my series? Or has this evolved into something completely different and I no longer have the affinity or attachment to it? And I'm looking at all this and I'm like, yeah, this is still for me. This is still my jam.
Yeah, it still looks awesome.
Yeah, and like, I'm willing
I wouldn't hold it against someone who doesn't want to stick with it either.
And that's true. We're not shaming anybody. I'm just saying, personally speaking, this is honestly even closer to my vision for Donkey Kong than some of what Retro did and some of what Rare did back in the last part of their tenure with Donkey Kong. So it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, I think for me, like, as long as you have some returning elements, as long as there's stuff there I still recognize, like, this isn't a Jungle Beat situation.
Yeah.
And, that ended up being a whole different situation than we thought. But still, I still look at Jungle Beat and say, this is not necessarily what I want out of Donkey Kong. And, that's fine too.
I agree.
Thanks, Hyle. I'm glad. I was worried. I was sweating bullets.
Yeah, like, the thing about Jungle Beat is that it completely eschewed everything. Yeah. I mean, nothing came back, really.
And that doesn't make it a bad game or anything, but yeah, it's just not what I want out of a new Donkey Kong game either.
Yeah, it's... Honestly... Like, Jungle Beat is a great game. And I'm really, like, ashamed of the way we responded. Well, not you, you're off the hook, Dustin, but, like...
Thanks.
I responded to it back in 2004, 2005. And, like, that's just based on a lot of the politics of the day. Referring to, like, the post-buyout anxiety and the anti-Rare sensibilities going around the mainstream gaming news sites, and that mistranslated interview that IGN ran, and it made us think that there was this vendetta against Donkey Kong Country and Rare's vision and the characters that were within. So, like, I think back to that time and I'm like, yeah, Jungle Beat turned out to be a great game and it wasn't really malicious, but it still kind of sucks that we got this Donkey Kong game, the major console Donkey Kong game of that generation, that just completely avoided acknowledging anything to do with Donkey Kong's past. And
I'm not salty over it. I'm not worried that that's the direction that Donkey Kong went in. Like, obviously it didn't. But yeah, like, the stuff I like about Donkey Kong is more than what Jungle Beat gave. So it, like, still a good game, but I'm still not that into it. It doesn't have a place in my heart like the other ones do.
Right. It's a game I really came around on starting with the announcement of Donkey Kong Country Returns, because that gave me that permission to say, like, oh yeah, you know what? I don't have to hold a grudge against Jungle Beat anymore because we got Donkey Kong Country back. And I mean, that's still childish, that's still small, and that's still petty, but there has been this, like, payon aside, and I'm gonna speak some harshness right now. And just know that I love the Retro Studios games, and I respect everything within. And I'm so glad that they are part of the tapestry of the series, and they brought in so many of the fans that they did. But there was there was that aversion in the Retro Studios games towards really running with anything aside from a few approved elements. You know, like they were afraid to reference anything from the past country games explicitly. That
you would never see a Lanky Kong in the background.
Or I'm just thinking about some of the references in this. Cameron brought this point up earlier when we were all chatting about the Bananza Direct, and there were some more fossils seen. And Cameron said, you know, this is all I've ever really wanted. This is not verbatim. I'm just kind of paraphrasing Cameron right now. This is all I've really ever wanted was I don't need these characters to necessarily always appear, but just some sort of small acknowledgement, some sort of small nod and contextual flourishes that make this feel like an ever-evolving, expanding real world that every other series gets to do. Every other video game series does this. And for Donkey Kong, because it's always been mired in some bullshit politics that are a result of the buyout era, Donkey Kong's been held back from doing that.
It just felt like they weren't allowed to do fan service, to do fun little things like that.
And fan service isn't the end-all be-all. I'm not saying that fan service makes a game. I'm not saying fan service is why I'm so jazzed about Donkey Kong Bonanza, but it is just this pressure relief. It is this sense that, you know what, this is going to be a rewarding experience for those of us who have been with this series for 20, 30, in some cases, 40 plus years. And it's also going to bring in lots of new fans. And then they're going to be exposed to this, and we're just going to keep paying it forward. And it's just going to become part of this wonderful legacy that is the Donkey Kong series. And I think that's all I've ever really wanted. I don't need, and I said this on social media the other day, in relation to the Donkey Kong Bonanza Direct, because a lot of people were going into this with like every hope and every expectation. We're gonna see XYZ. We're gonna see Xananap. We're gonna see we're gonna see, obviously King K. Rool's the big one, but we're gonna see like so many things. And I'm just like, this is not gonna be the whole game, everybody. This is not the whole game. I liken it to a 15-minute walkthrough that's coked up. Right, just to get it all in. You're not going to see everything. They're not going to give away everything. They don't
want to blow their load,
like Dustin likes to do. But Dustin can do it multiple times, so it's fine.
Yeah, it's okay. Don't worry about me.
It's okay
everybody.
when Dustin does it, everybody. It's not gross.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool, actually.
Dustin's a good role model. So we're not going to get like fan service after fan service after. And in fact, the fan service we saw in this was so under the radar that it wasn't even remarked upon by the narrator.
Yeah, it was never brought to attention, and that's fine. Like I've said before, I don't need every character to come back every single time, but just little things are fun. I like that a lot.
I want to feel like the possibility is always there. And I don't want every Donkey Kong release to feel like it's this all or nothing proposition where we have to get it all in here because there's nothing else after this.
Yeah, I don't want it to feel like all of this stuff is gated off.
Yeah.
You can have the main Kongs, you can have your Donkey, Diddy, Dixie, Cranky, etc., but only that important stuff. You're not going to get anything else. Sorry.
I want to have the notion, at the very least, that in the next Donkey Kong game, in a couple years' time, a 2D side-scrolling Donkey Kong Country game, perhaps, I want to just believe that it's possible that maybe Lanky Kong will be playable in that, or Chunky
Barnacle
Kong.
Bear.
Or Barnacle Bear will be playable.
Yeah.
And
see, that's the dream.
That's where we're getting back to with Bonanza. That's the feeling I'm getting from this is everything is back on the table. And that's all I've really ever wanted. I don't need that validation in every single Donkey Kong game.
Yeah,
but
you just want to feel like Donkey Kong can do that. Like no characters are being locked away to never come back again.
Yeah, and it was just this frustrating turn of events. I do believe had Retro done a third Donkey Kong Country game, we would have gotten more in it. We would have gotten more returning elements. But because they didn't, because they couldn't, because they moved on, and because then Donkey Kong entered development hell for, well, not 11 years, but 11 years publicly, it really made it feel like this Donkey Kong game, the next Donkey Kong game, Donkey Kong EPD, had to have everything. Because we haven't had anything for 11 years. And we need this to be the Avengers Endgame of Donkey Kong. We need it to have a cast of 60 to 100 characters. And
and don't get me wrong, I would gladly accept that if it was.
But the truth is, we just need the promise of better days to come.
Yeah, exactly. I like feeling optimistic about Donkey Kong as a series and the elements in that world.
Yeah. So, with that being said, Dustin, we finally saw Rambi.
We sure did. That rhino guy.
We saw
the video game.
We saw a bunch of Rambi. Some that may not be Rambi, but one at the very least that is explicitly Rambi the Rhino. And thank God, so far, no posh accent.
So far, never say never, Hyle.
Never say never, and it could happen. It could happen, but so far, he didn't have a monocle. He didn't have a top hat. He didn't have the, pipe or cigarette
He wasn't
holder.
wearing little spats.
Yeah. He's got a pack on his back. He's got a riding saddle for Cranky Kong, since Cranky rode Rambi into the underground world. And my God, I love the way he looks. He looks terrific. He looks like his park design, his not redesign, but his design, his design backwards towards having the more cartoony eyes, the more wide set eyes.
Yeah, I'm glad we have this design back. I never hated the retro Rambi, but it is not my preferred Rambi.
Hashtag not my Rambi. Every social media post Dustin made over the last 15 years, he ended it with hashtag not my Rambi. And
regardless of the contents of
right.
the
At a certain point, it just becomes like the release the Snyder Cut people. It's like, okay, we get it. This has nothing to do with that. Calm down.
Yeah, we were talking about something completely different. We were talking about, Hyle, what's something that would have been different from Rambi to talk about?
Debate about the capital gains tax.
Yeah, that. I would end it with, not my Rambi.
Yeah. So, Rambi has a little blanket over him. He's got a satchel where Cranky keeps his water and his denture glue, and there's a pillow saddle for Cranky to sit on, and a blanket that has the DK girder pattern on it.
I love that, a themed blanket. But what I really love about this is it's bringing Rambi back, who we've seen many a time, but it's kind of using him in a different way. You're still probably going to use... we don't know how Rambi is used in the gameplay necessarily, every purpose he does, but I like seeing them use Rambi to carry stuff, too. That's not something we've seen before.
I agree, and I also like the association with Cranky. Cranky's always kind of been the sort of, not guardian of the animal buddies, not exploiter of the animal buddies, but he's always sort of had this connection with the animal buddies above all other Kongs. I mean, Rambi's crates were on his porch in Donkey Kong Country, with the implication that Rambi is the one putting them in crates and shipping them out to these levels. And
You mean Cranky?
Cranky. Yeah, Cranky's
Yeah, you
crating.
said Rambi.
Oh, excuse me. Well, Cranky is crating Rambi and everyone else.
There we go.
There we go. And Cranky has Winky in the Monkey Museum at DKC2. He runs
The Espresso stuff.
Espresso Racing in the Game Boy Advance remake. He's got Squawks in Donkey Kong Country Returns. He
really is tied to the animal. That's something like I forget about a lot. Like I always forget that part of Cranky, that he does kind of have that tied to the animal buddies.
He's always going on about Espresso and Winky in the instruction manuals.
Yeah, he doesn't necessarily like the new ones as much.
Triple Starbeam in the live stream, checking in with a live
Hello.
stream. Hello. Rambi most likely still doesn't speak, yet the ostriches can. I'm going to headcanon these underground ostriches as more intelligent than the surface ones. Yeah, there's a lot going on with the underground world, and perhaps greater evolution, perhaps the closer we get to the planet core as well. If the Kremlin source, the crocodile core, was responsible for the evolution of the Kremlins from just run-of-the-mill crocodiles into anthropomorphic humanoid crocodile people, maybe the planet core energies also influence the evolution the further down you go. So we do have intelligent ostriches, intelligent zebras, and so forth and so on.
It's about time. I've always said the thing we need more of in this world is intelligent ostriches.
You know what? The world would be a better place, I'm not going to lie. You know what? We've made a right mess of it, us humans, but it's time we let the ostriches run things for a few years, see how it goes.
Do you think we'll eventually have the first ostrich president, Hyle?
In my lifetime, here's hoping.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I know who gets my vote.
FizzTap says that banandium radiation makes the brain grow. It makes a lot of things grow.
Yeah.
Including my erection. Am I right? High five, Dustin.
Yeah.
So, there's so much to discover and there's so much to break down. Really quick, because in the live stream, Donkey Kong 2024, last year's model, brought this up, and I want to bring this up. We talk about fan service. We saw more fossils. And the fossils were the first thing to, that initial Nintendo Switch 2 Direct, that initial Donkey Kong Bonanza trailer, when you and Cameron and so many people were on the fence initially, because it did just feel like, oh no, a complete reinvention of Donkey Kong. Nothing that we recognize except Donkey Kong. There's a fucking odd rock. What the hell is this? And then we started going frame by frame through the trailer, and somebody said, there's a naughty fossil. And all of a sudden, it was just like, okay. All
right.
And then, we later learned about Cranky a few hours later, and everybody just calmed the hell down. But I'm not calling you out or anybody in the Idaho crew out, Dustin. I think we were all feeling a little trepidatious that first afternoon after the Donkey Kong Bonanza trailer. Afternoon for some folk. It was just like, I'm excited. I think we're going to see a lot of cool stuff in there, but it's not what I was expecting.
Yeah, I just needed to see some returning characters and elements, and I got that. So after that, I was like, okay, now I'm on board.
So we started digging through the fossils a little bit more, and there seems to be an Oink fossil, Professor Chop's folk. And there, of course, we later learned, thanks to Skips, that the fossil maps and the Banandium gem maps have the Northern Cremasphere on them.
That's still the wildest thing to me. Of all the things to put on there, it's so cool. DKC3 never gets to be brought back and referenced in these things.
It's referenced a couple times in this actual Donkey Kong Bonanza Direct. But yeah, the Northern Hemisphere appears on the maps, and so that makes us think that this probably like takes place underneath the Northern Hemisphere, like Ingot Isle is actually part of the Northern Hemisphere, which is very exciting. But anyway, the fossils have just continually provided for us when we didn't have anything else to really go off of. And now we've seen even more fossils, Dustin. And
oh boy, have we ever, Hyle.
Going through, in one of the layers, you can collect zinger fossils.
Oh my goodness gracious. Good gravy.
Good bee-filled gravy. Oh my god.
That sounds like the worst Thanksgiving ever.
It's honey. I mean...
I thought you were saying like actual gravy filled with bees.
At first I was, and then I was like, well, what would bee gravy be? Bee gravy is just honey, so...
That's true. That makes... Yeah, honey's good.
Why are we putting bees in the gravy when we could just be serving honey? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't add up.
In retrospect, that would have been the smarter idea, yeah.
See, I don't like food, so I don't know what people like. I'm like, well, they might like this sweet, sticky concoction, or they might
like gravy with bees in it.
This thick paste full of bees.
I don't get it myself, but people seem to love it.
It's foreign to me, but you know what? I'm eager to learn your ways. No, so Zinger fossil, and this is, Zingers are probably the Donkey Kong baddie. I know they are associated with the Kremling crew, but they are probably the Donkey Kong baddie outside of the crocodilian Kremlings that are the most revered and celebrated, above all
most
others.
Iconic.
Yeah, they are iconic, and every attempt to do bees post-Zingers, or sans Zingers, has been not an abject failure, but just kind of a, why are you doing this? Like, I sort of understood buzzes in DKC 3 and Land 3 just because, everything kind of got a refresh in that game, but
right.
They went back to Zingers in Donkey Kong 64 wisely, but then Jungle Beat had its own bees, and then Tropical Freeze had its own bees, and it's just like, well,
I do like those Tropical Freeze ones, at least.
No, they're great. They're great. They have a more Bumblebee quality than the weird Hornet honeybee hybrid that Zingers are. But yeah, Zinger fossils, and then in one of the layers, and I think this might be towards the planet core itself, we've got 3 fossils that invoke animal buddies.
Ooh.
We've got a frog in the general shape of Winky. We've got a swordfish in the general shape of Engard. And we've got an anglerfish in the general shape of Glimmer.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And
Glimmer's the big one.
Glimmer's,
like
that's why
Engard, Winky.
That's why I saved Glimmer for last, because even though Engard and Winky are the more celebrated animal buddies, the fact that they're referencing Glimmer, well, fuck me sideways.
Yeah, that's the one that has all of us clapping our hands and feet together.
Well, that would be Clapper, and we haven't seen Clapper yet.
That's true. There's still time, though.
I got you there, Dustin. But what's very exciting for me is that each fossil does get a small write-up.
Yeah, they have little descriptions.
And you actually, for the real world fossils, you get an actual bit of history. Let me read you the Ammonite fossil description.
Please do.
Through cycles of evolution and extinction, it gave rise to over 10,000 species. So what did you do today? Little cheeky.
Yeah, little cheeky, little rude. I mean, I woke up to watch your direct is what I did today. Thank you very much.
I'm a Donkey Kong journalist, so I spent hours crafting an article, and then I'm doing a podcast immediately after. But yeah, okay, make me feel bad.
Yeah, I gave you my time out of my day. I woke up at 6:45.
No, that's just the perfect amount of snark and humor, like, for the Donkey Kong series. I love that. And I love that.
For sure.
we only saw like the real world fossils get descriptions in the Bananza Direct, but I'm really excited to read about some of the fictional Donkey Kong species or variants, what descriptions they will have.
Same, because like not all of the fossils are returning elements. Like it looks like a good chunk of them are, but you also just have other things outside of that, just new creatures and leaves.
I know. I'm really excited about the leaves.
I can't wait to read what the leaf says.
You know what? Might be my new favorite Donkey Kong character by the end of this. Who's to say?
I think it's outpaced the banana at this point.
Yeah, the banana is so 2005.
Not fresh anymore, are you?
No. Why don't we just reference carbs and, I don't know, worry about cutting Medicare. Oh, wait, we're doing that right now. Anyway, so... sorry, I didn't mean to bring it down. So, speaking of animal buddies, we also learned more about the enormous King Kong-style gorilla who was on our Bananza Hopes and Fears episode Key Art on YouTube and SoundCloud. Yeah. So this giant King Kong-style gorilla wearing headphones, we saw him in like early Bananza footage and screenshots, and we thought he was just going to be a reoccurring character maybe throughout the underground world. But it turns out, holy shit, he's just one of several giant elders in the underground world. These are figures that kind of lord over each layer. They are the oldest and the wisest amongst their kind. And this includes, as we saw today, a massive zebra and just a huge honkin' ostrich, Dustin. Oh my god. This ostrich, like in sheer metric volume, this is the most ostrich we've ever gotten in a Donkey Kong game. More so than Donkey Kong Country 2 for the Game Boy Advance.
Yeah, this is probably the second biggest ostrich I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, I know, and you don't like to talk about the first one because it still gives you night terrors.
So
Sorry,
I got a little scared.
This giant elder ostrich, I can't wait to learn these people's names. I hope they all have names like Fred.
Yeah.
But
Willard.
Yeah. Willard's a good one. Wearing espresso...
Willard the Wostrich. Yeah, he has the espresso shoes.
Willard's got espresso shoes, and these are exactly espresso shoes, just with higher detail than ever seen before. And so, it raises some questions. We're deliberately referencing espresso, so does espresso show up in this layer?
They really wonder, because, this is just straight up, yes, this is the exact same sort of design espresso has. It would be as if they had rhinos there, but no Rambi.
Right.
We know that's not the case, but it would be very weird to have these ostriches that have the same sort of design ideas as Espresso, but not Espresso himself. But it could also just be an homage, too.
It could be an homage, and at the very least, they are deliberately referencing and paying tribute to Espresso by suggesting that the shoes worn by Espresso might have been passed down from the ostrich layer, brought to the surface. There's some sort of bullshit DKU lore tour I can do out of this eventually, even if Espresso does not make an appearance. And I'm very excited about that. Just so much more to marinate in and speculate about and draw connections to. It's been, my God, Dustin, it's been over 11 years since the last new standalone Donkey Kong game.
Has it? I haven't noticed.
Yeah, so I just having all this new info, it's sensory overload.
For sure, but in a good way.
In a great way. So
I'm loving all this.
The elders, they actually serve a purpose beyond just looking cool and listening to tunes. The elders tap into the Bananza powers. or they harness the Bananza powers. Now, the Bananza is actually an in-game term. It's not just a clever pun for the title. It is an in-game term that refers to the energy, I guess, that maybe the energy from the planet core getting channeled up through the Banandium, but these giant elders can harness it, and Pauline can in turn learn their song, learn the specific vibrations of the Bananza powers. I don't know how this actually works because this is all bullshit anyway. It's all just made up. None of this is real. I know giant ostriches scare you because they can run so fast and so far, but none of this is real, Dustin.
Thank God. I was worried for a second. I was thinking, like, if a giant ostrich came up to me, that would be nothing. I would be done in a second. I would be kicked across the room and dead.
You just open the bathroom door and it's there.
And then I turn to the camera and I say, "Uh-oh."
He's right behind me, isn't he?
See, that would be a good twist because he would actually be in front of me.
So, the Bananza powers that Pauline can then sing. She's like, DK, and that will transform Donkey Kong, Mumbo Jumbo style, in fact, into a new evolved form, harnessing the powers of that specific giant elder. So, for example...
This is where things get weird.
This is where things get a little kinky. This is where we see Donkey Kong. So, putting it out there, in later layers, you can harness or you can gain the ability to turn into an ostrich man or a zebra man. It's called the Ostrich Bananza and Zebra Bananza. But because Lagoon Layer is populated by Kongs, that means that the first transformation is the Kong Bananza, which effectively is Donkey Kong's, like, Dragon Ball Z form. Like, he turns into this super, like, jacked up Donkey Kong with the most dynamic ass Donkey Kong has ever been depicted with. Everybody's been complaining, and I mean everybody. I was listening to NPR the other day, and they were complaining about Donkey Kong's ass, or lack thereof, in his new design. Mario Kart World, it's like, yo, Donkey Kong, where are your glutes? What happened?
Where your ass go, man?
Did you skip ass day in the gym? This sucks. But I think they were just building up to this moment. The Kong Bananza finally gives Donkey Kong a gigantic derriere and completely bald.
Yeah, they want it on full display.
You know, no dingleberries for this Donkey Kong.
It's clean as a whistle.
You could eat off of it. You could eat bee gravy off of this ass.
And I intend to.
So, I know you were a little bit on the fence about this.
Just a little bit. It's a little weird. It's maybe the one concept I'm not, like, 100% sold on, but I like parts of it. I think I'm kind of a sucker for a character getting, like, a big, cool-looking, powered-up form, like this Kong Bananza he has. It kind of reminds me of how in that Mario 3D World Switch port, they have the Bowser's Fury, and Bowser gets a cool new form in that. Like, that I think is cool. So that I like for Donkey Kong. It's having him turn into other animals that could have just been other animals that kind of... I was a little unsure of. I was like, well, why don't we just have animal buddies then? But the more I thought about it, the more I was like, well... This is saying, like, this is so Donkey Kong can do these new abilities anywhere at any time in this game. So
yeah,
it makes sense why they did it this way.
Yeah, I kind of agree that, like, at first I saw Ostrich Donkey Kong and I was like, could it just been espresso? But Thinking about it more, there's a clear reason why they didn't just have the animal buddies in this. And, like, ultimately, this is more of a Banjo-Kazooie transformation situation than it is comparable to the animal buddies. I mean, yes, you got the animal barrels in the, like, last two Donkey Kong Country games and Donkey Kong Land games. And you have the animal transformation crates in Donkey Kong 64. And I guess you could have done something like that. But I don't know. I think this makes sense in its own context. And as much as I would have liked the excuse to incorporate animal buddies a little bit more, I'm not feeling totally shut out because they are referencing and acknowledging the animal buddies, and maybe it's just me being glass half full again, but I'll take that for now.
I guess that's the thing, like, you're not writing on espresso here, but you have a whole layer full of ostriches that are straight up a reference to espresso. You see the sneakers on the Big Elder.
You see the
so
sneakers.
It's not like, oh, espresso, that guy sucks and we're never seeing him again. No, you're getting plenty of espresso elements in this game as well.
When Glimmer is being referenced in this, I don't have to worry so much about the future of the animal buddies. Because again, it's all about the promise of the future, right? So even if they don't come into play in Bananza, then the next Donkey Kong Country game, there's a good chance we'll see just a whole menagerie of animal buddies. So
yeah, exactly.
And here's the thing though, like I would have loved to have seen you being able to turn into Espresso, or even the zebra from Donkey Kong Country Returns. We call him Zygmunt, but whatever they would name him for realsies, that would have been cool to see. Like, oh yeah, hey, we're bringing back Zygmunt from Donkey Kong Country Returns, and we're actually making him a full-fledged animal buddy. That's the kind of shit I would just be like rolling around on the floor about, just like taking off my clothes, giggling, pouring honey or bee gravy all over my quivering body, because that's what I want. I want a celebration of everything. I want to elevate some of the stuff from the retro games and incorporate it alongside the Rare era and the Payon era, and bring in some Jungle Beach shit. Let's get it all in there.
Yeah, for sure. And for the most part, it does look like this game is doing some of that.
Yeah. But yeah, I like the way these Bananza transformations look. Although it has been brought up that people are going to do erotic fan art out of all of these. If they haven't already, I haven't looked. But me
neither. Wink.
Dustin's doodling right now. Yeah, like I saw the draft, or there's probably going to be a draft one, but I saw the zebra one, and I was like, somebody's getting off to this tonight. Fuck me.
Yeah, I mean that's fine. I like that Donkey Kong games get to be included in that.
Yeah, no shade. If that's your thing, if that's what you're into,
yeah,
I'm not casting
For sure.
aspersions. I'm just saying, like, I'm probably going to encounter some of it in my capacity, and I don't...
And that's what the DK Vine Art Gallery is for.
Trust me, like, I wasn't prepared when I saw my first K. Rool Vor imagery.
It happens to everyone at least once in their life.
I think a little bit of my innocence died that day, and I'm not ready to say goodbye to the rest.
Hey, you know what, Hyle? Sometimes you gotta grow up. Sometimes you gotta grow up and see your K. Rool Vor artwork.
What is this, a Rugrats sequel?
Hang on to your diapies, Hyle.
Oh. So, what else? What else? What are we not talking about? Oh, I know. DK Artist Mode.
This is neat. This is weird. This is definitely not one of the things I expected to be in this.
If there is any doubt that Nintendo EPD is behind this at this point, I think this should put to bed any questions or any debate. Just, this seems like a very them idea. Like, why is this there? Because it would be fun? Because we want to have something creative in there, a creative toolkit.
Yeah. It reminded me of Mario 64 having the big Mario head and just being able to pull his face, manipulate his facial features around.
They've already manipulated Donkey Kong's facial features around too much to put that in this game. Like, he needs time to heal. So instead, we are taking slabs of rocks and mineral, and we are sculpting. We are sculpting shapes that you can then paint and fine-tune however you want. And you know what? I've always been a Mario kid before I was a Donkey Kong kid. And just seeing the wealth of Mario titles, even back in the early days. I mean, even back on the Super Nintendo, before like Mario sports games became a real thing, or a real cemented thing, stuff like Mario Paint was part of my DNA, was part of my obsessive, like, replayability, like just going back and absorbing so much from that game. And I always wanted Donkey Kong to have a little bit of that. And
yeah,
like we never got much in the way of Donkey Kong spin-offs. We almost did under Rare, but we never got things like Coconut Crackers. I mean, again, It's Mr. Pants was a glow-up, in my opinion. I'm so glad we got It's Mr. Pants. But, like, I would have loved for Donkey Kong to have never as many titles as Mario, but the opportunity to have these weird spin-offs and side games. And I'm still hoping for that, but it's cool that we get a little feature in here called DK Artist that lets us at least live a little bit of that fantasy.
For sure. This is like, I don't know exactly how it works yet, but it kind of reminds me of, have you heard of the PlayStation 4 game Dreams? Yeah,
because it sounds like Dream, which sounds like Project Dream, which is
Banjo-Kazooie. See, I knew you'd be on board. But no, it's a game, it's one of those games where you can make your own game, and that includes like making 3D models of characters. That's kind of the vibe I'm getting from this, being able to like sculpt stuff in a game. Mm-hmm. That seems like a pretty big thing to put in your Donkey Kong adventure platforming game.
There is a later shot of a little Rambi sculpture next to some other characters who, I don't know why I'm skirting around it because everybody knows what I'm talking about, but I'm wondering if you can display your sculptures in-game on their table. Or
that would be
elsewhere.
Amazing.
If you can,
think of all the dicks that would be in this game.
Oh, well, I mean, so long as we're not in a shared environment, it's fine. But I'm also thinking, Donkey Kong's going to have these little hideaways that you can build where Donkey Kong and Pauline can take a little nappy poo and recharge. And I'm wondering if you'll be able to decorate those with the sculptures you make in DK Artist.
You know what? If you could do that, that would be like a huge incentive to do this.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Right now it's just kind of like a fun little side thing you can do. It's cool that it's there. But like if it could have an effect on your little rooms in this game that you get, I would be all over making stuff. And I think a lot of people would. Just being able to deck those out.
I would make the Rare logo. I would make a Royston the Goldfish.
I'd make a 9 Inch Nails poster.
yeah, Donkey Kong, big into Slipknot and System of a Down, and he's a 90s guy, Donkey Kong. Yeah. He was into Marilyn Manson until he read up on what Marilyn Manson was up to, and
he said, "Oh no, get these posters out of here."
Just
Gigastrike says I would make Mario with a stretched face.
I was wondering where that was going to go, honestly. Just Andre says the ads end because we are live streaming this, and we've got ads because we got bills to pay. And says he's greeted with, sometimes you gotta grow up and see your K. Rool vor art.
It's true. Sometimes you do.
That's just incentive then to go back and listen to the uploaded episode and get the context for what you're missing. It's like
it was pretty great.
It's like how we're all trying to figure out what young Pauline is doing here. We don't have the context yet.
Yeah, it could be really cool, actually.
We already knew about photo mode, and I'm, honestly, having played Mario Kart World for a couple weeks now, I am so glad photo mode is in there. I know this isn't a new thing. It's new to me, but I know that, photo mode has been a thing.
It's kind of a recent trend. It's been in a lot of games, but good. The more games that have it, the better.
It's so easy getting dynamic screenshots for Mario Kart World when I need them, when I want them, and to be able to pose Donkey Kong however I want. And so just to have that ability in this game as well. Hell yeah.
Yeah, for sure. It's like, I love playing these games and looking at the environments, looking at the characters. As an artist, stuff like this is really inspiring to me. So it's really cool to be able to get just really good screenshots of this stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, for me, I'm just somebody who loves residing in the world. I'm not an artist, but I'm a chronicler of the history. I'm the one who tries to build it up into this Tolkien-esque grand mythology when it's really just, a bunch of nonsense held together with paper clips. But that's what's... I love the world of Donkey Kong. Love, love, love the world of Donkey Kong. And to be able to just soak it in at my speed and like to just focus in on details and pose Donkey Kong and Pauline how I want, and I'm all for photo mode. And DK artist, sure. I've got to get good at 3D modeling. I'm worried that I have no artistic bone in my body, so I'm worried that I will not be able to create the grand works of art that my brain wants to create.
Well, I think what's good about that is this looks like a pretty primitive's not the right word, but it seems pretty simple. Like, you're not gonna be able to make like really detailed masterpieces. Like, it's gonna be pretty simple things you're making anyway. So I think in a way it kind of it puts everyone on the same level where you can just kind of make some cool stuff and figure out how to at least make something the general shape that you want.
Yeah.
Like, in the video, we saw them sculpting Mario, Bowser, a pizza. But, they're not, like, perfectly on-model versions. It feels like they were, like, actually sculpted out. And I think that's cool. Even if someone isn't an artist, it seems like something that people can get a hang of.
Yeah, honestly, it didn't look like any pizza I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, it was glowing. Have you ever seen lava on a pizza? That's fucked up.
No, I've had lava after a pizza, if you catch my drift.
Oh, I get what you're saying, Hyle. You mean from the diarrhea.
Butt stuff.
Yeah, the thing that comes out of the butt.
Yeah. Dustin, I've been going since 6 a.m. I'm going to take a caffeine pill live on the air. I thought about muting my microphone for this, but I have to be honest with my process. I want everybody to know that I'm sacrificing myself for my profession and for my... I said I don't have an artistic bone in my body. This is my art, and I have to persevere, and I can't lose steam now.
Yeah, I mean, not all heroes wear capes.
Now that's my Bananza power right there.
You have a caffeine tablet and then you can keep doing a podcast?
Yeah, I become,
that's pretty good.
I become a giraffe.
Giraffes are the best animals at doing podcasts, so it makes sense.
Yeah, it's because their long neck is good for acoustics and really projecting the voice.
I love that visual. A giraffe bending its neck down to the mic.
Well, bend your neck down to this, Dustin, because we got more context for that beautiful rare style ACM 2D side-scrolling jungle that we saw in the original trailer and the first crop of official HD screenshots of the game. Now,
Oh, we sure did, Hyle.
even before the naughty fossil, I think that was the thing that made everybody be like, all right, there's more to this. There's more to this than Jungle Beat 2.0. Let's hear it out.
Yeah.
And we finally know what that is in context. And it's effectively part of this game's version of bonus stages, or in some cases, Donkey Kong 64's arenas. Now, these are challenges that you can access through these pyramid shapes throughout the layers, and they come in many different forms. Some of them are just like bash the baddies or get through to the other side. Some of them are 2D side-scrolling challenges that seem to have a lot of fun referencing the past of the Donkey Kong series.
I think this is great. This is a really fun way to get callbacks and references in there that you might not be able to any other way.
Yeah, for sure. In this direct alone, we saw a minecart sequence, like a 2D minecart sequence that looked like a Rare game. It looked like it was just in a Rare style mine, not one-to-one. It wasn't as visually reminiscent as the jungle was, but still, you look at that and you're like, yeah, I could see that in a Donkey Kong Country game from the mid-1990s. Cool.
Yeah.
We saw a 1981 style girder level. So they're also homaging Donkey Kong Arcade, which again, I mean, prequel theorists work that out.
Yeah, I just love that we're able to see both of them together.
Yeah, and really just harmonize like everything. That's what I want. But we also saw a bramble level with barrel cannon blasting.
Oh, my lordy bagordy.
This looked amazing. I saw this and I cackled. Some people out there wanted me to do sort of a live reaction, and I wasn't comfortable with that just because I try not to be on camera when I can help it. I just I don't like to be the focus of like our output. Obviously, the podcast is one thing, but we're not even on camera for that. But also, just I had to take notes. I had to. Really just focus in on everything, and I didn't have time to, do a real polished, like, and
yeah, I think that's the thing for me is, like, I want my first reaction to just be my reaction. I don't want to be feeling like I have to entertain others while I'm watching this.
I think it worked for us when we did our Banjo-Kazooie one, and people want more of that, but the truth is, like, the Banjo-Kazooie one was such a lightning in a bottle situation because there's 4 of us together. Right. And it just...
it's a different context.
Yeah, it's different. Like, there was so much to absorb for 16 minutes here, whereas the Banjo-Kazooie trailer basically communicates everything you need to know. Hey, Banjo and Kazooie are in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and oh my god, they're referencing the DKU right now. Hell yeah. But, yeah, the Bramble level looked great. These brambles are just so vivid.
They look awesome.
They're so well textured, and it's just like, it's clear. I said this on Blue Sky. It is clear that this team loves Donkey Kong.
For sure.
Now
it looks great, and something that we've already commented on it before, but I just love these barrels with the neon sign arrows on them.
It's such a visually distinct way of saying, like, this is the world of Donkey Kong. These are barrel cannons, but these are special barrel cannons for Ingot Isle. And we also saw another new one in the Bramble section. We saw a blast barrel, not with the arrow.
There it is.
Yeah, not with the arrow, but with the big explodey symbol. and it's also neon. So yeah,
For
love
sure.
it.
Oh, it looks great.
Yeah, oh God, I can't wait to see what other like 2D levels are referenced and homaged.
You know what? Something I really like about this too is I like that in a way this is like Pauline is getting to see the DKC stuff.
Uh-huh. Yeah. I mean, it's like let me teach you the true Donkey Kong, Pauline.
Yeah, she gets to be associated with stuff from past games like Brambles, Minecarts, the jungle level.
Yeah, it's like all the
instead of just the new stuff.
all this super dangerous shit. I love that Donkey Kong keeps exposing children to it.
You're gonna love this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, I have another kid under my care? Great. All right, well, I'm just going to do all my greatest hits then. My 12 methods of torture.
This barrel will launch you right into the brambles. Isn't that fun?
Julius has joined us and says, oh, we
Hello.
better be getting a Sticker Bush remix. Let's talk about the music, Dustin, because so many past DK tunes were referenced throughout this direct. I was kind of surprised at some of the nods and deliberate remixes, and like it went beyond the surface level a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. It all sounded awesome. I think music is something I brought it up before. I was a little on the fence about, just because, you know, I feel like it's not easy to do a Donkey Kong soundtrack. Donkey Kong Country Returns, I didn't love the music of all that much. It's easy for it to go, maybe saying it went wrong is not the right words, because it was still fine. But it's easy to get a Donkey Kong soundtrack that doesn't really measure up to the other game soundtracks, just because it's a very high bar.
It's a high bar, and also I think the original soundtracks are so revered that you also have the problem where they don't want to upend the apple cart too much. And I can say that because there are apples in this game. But
how do you like them apples?
We talked a little bit about it, and like we want both a healthy mix of new, exciting music and some references to the old, but we don't want it to be like weighted too heavily, like Returns. Like I did like some of the new tracks in Returns. Boulder Roller is a favorite, but there were like it was just like, here are remixes of a
lot of the greatest hits,
David Wise and Evelyn Novakovic tracks. And so it is just like, what is the right balance? And I honestly can't say for sure. I don't have an artistic bone in my body. For music, I know what I like, but I have no understanding of music theory. If I try to compose a song,
I'm not a music guy.
Which
would sound like a dying sea lion.
A dying sea lion singing the Bee Gees' Staying Alive. Yeah.
Which could have an audience.
Could have an audience. I mean, that's the thing. Music is subjective. I don't understand.
It's always changing.
It's always changing. People gravitate towards the music that speaks to them. It doesn't speak to me, but that's fine. But Donkey Kong music speaks to me. It's very peculiar. It's dad or granddad rock from the 60s and 70s. I do like some 80s new wave. And I like
Avril Lavigne, because she was also replaced like Paul McCartney. And also, happy birthday, Paul McCartney, by the way. This is a great birthday present for Paul McCartney. Yeah, I bet he loves it.
he was watching it with the rest of us. I mean, come on, you know. Paul McCartney loves a good ape.
Yeah, he said, look, there's Ramby.
But yeah, like, I think Donkey Kong fans and Donkey Kong professionals are so precious when it comes to Donkey Kong music. It's why Donkey Konga is as divisive as it is, because what are we doing? Like Donkey Kong, the series that's known for its just immaculate soundtracks and has even incorporated music into the themes and like overall mythology of the series, from like Donkey Kong 64, even Donkey Kong Country 2, even the original Donkey Kong Country opened up with the boombox, and so it's just wild to me that like they didn't have Donkey Kong songs in that Donkey Kong game. But anyway, I do want to strike that right balance. I want new bangers. I want new classics. Yeah. But I also am really loving some of the deep cuts they're doing, like the Rambi theme.
The Rambi theme is one I never thought I'd hear come back.
I know some people thought that, and have been saying that they're worried that they won't credit the composers, the original composers. And look, this is a Nintendo problem that goes well beyond what's happening with Donkey Kong Bonanza. Like, I don't think they will, and I think that sucks, but I think we just all need to kind of be prepared for it. I'm not saying just accept that the world sometimes sucks.
Yeah, it doesn't make it good.
It doesn't make it good, but just knowing how Nintendo operates, they will not credit Wise or Kirkhope or Novakovic or Beanland or Norgate. I don't think there will be any Norgate tracks in here, but you never know.
That would be cool if there were.
Yeah, they might have Rock Lobster in there, Giga Strike. Rock Lobster is a DKU. I like New Wave, I just said. So what would I be doing if I didn't like the B-52's Rock Lobster?
Ooh, what if that was one of the fossils?
Oh, and then you could reference Donkey Konga. That's how we get Donkey Konga in there. Yeah, but there's also, and this is where I knew we were getting right into the Pauline stuff, is that the direct started with a vocal track. And I was like, oh, we're just launching right into it, aren't we? and yeah, like having a Donkey Kong song with vocals outside of the DK rap and Rock Lobster and all the small things and, all the classic Donkey Kong tracks of olden times. This is definitely
all the hits.
This is definitely new and different, and it would be the kind of thing that 20 years ago would have put me on edge, and I would have complained about it on the DK Vine forum. But it's going to be sweet and sentimental now that I am old and sappy.
Yeah, it's very weird to hear these lyrical songs, but I'm on board with it. Again, flexible. Flexibility is the word. I mean, Mario's gotten songs. Even Kirby and the Forgotten Land has a vocal song in it. It's something that's been happening with Nintendo games in general, so I'm down for it.
Yeah, Julia says the NES DK theme with lyrics had me emotional in the direct.
That was cool.
That always feels weird to me, though, that you're retconning lyrics into a pre-established song.
It happens more often than you think. Some people make a living off of it.
That's what Jeff does. I don't know how much time you've ever spent in real life with Jeff Onen, Dustin, but Jeff will just
we've crossed paths.
Jeff will just come up with like lyrics for things, and even when we're playing Sea of Thieves, there's a little musical sting whenever you advance in seasonal renown. It goes da-na-na-na-na. And so Jeff will always sing Sex with a Grandma.
That's pretty good.
And I'm just like, God damn it, Jeff. I don't need that in my head every time I advance in Sea of Thieves. It turns me off the whole game.
It's the only thing you can think of now when you hear it.
And you know what? Honestly, I think it's giving me a weird fetish.
Hey, you know what? You're opening yourself up to new possibilities. Maybe that K. Rool Vor isn't so out of line after all.
That's my ultimate character arc, is I just become
a deviant, a wild deviant.
I was gonna say a sexual connoisseur, just lapping up the erotic buffet, but sure.
Right, you're embracing your hedonism.
The giant elder Kong does remind, like, hedonism Kong would have been a great name for him, because he does just look like he's like just this real like skeevy dude who just gives in to pleasure 24/7.
Yeah, he wants to dip his bottom into a tub of the finest oils and creams.
And bee-filled gravy. All right, let's quickly talk about Void Code because, many coming into this Nintendo Direct, they were hoping for some sort of acknowledgement of King K. Rool. And I told people, look, if K. Rool, obviously Nintendo's got this rollout of info, and they hid young Pauline behind Odd Rock in the initial reveal. And so there is a method to their madness, but I'm like, if K. Rool is part of the game's plot, I'm not dismissing the possibility that he is. There is evidence to suggest he might be, but if he is, I think that's going to be a reveal saved for the game itself. And I don't think
be a big secret twist.
Or a twist that's built up to and earned. I don't think they're just going to, pardon the expression, Dustin, I know this is cutting close to your bone, so to speak, but blow your load by revealing K. Rool in the Bananza Direct. So,
right.
I wasn't expecting any King K. Rool, but I was glad we got names for the 3 Void Co. or Void Company Kongs, and they are Kongs. Gotta love it.
Yeah. That's why I'm like, okay, well, it's not impossible that K. Rool is back, but if we don't get Kremlings, we got new Kongs for the first time in a long time, over 20 years.
Well, I mean, there's Baboom from Tropical Freeze. I think it's safe to say he is a Kong, even if they're not.
Yeah,
I know. Look,
these ones are more officially given the title of Kong, though.
DK Vine's stance, our understanding of the mythology has always been any simian within the DK Isles or even the greater archipelago will have a Kong surname, because Kong is not necessarily a designation of family so much as it is just any intelligent ape or monkey deriving from this lineage is a Kong.
Yeah.
And I understood that from Mankey Kong in the first Donkey Kong Country.
Yeah, that doesn't make them related to Donkey Kong or anything.
And so, very cheekily, when DK Vine launched, we labeled the Banjo-Kazooie characters Konga and Chimpy as Konga Kong. Great name, by the way. And Chimpy Kong. And then we did get the Jungle Beat Kongs, the Kiss Kongs, as we derisively called them, but Dread Kong, Sumo Kong, Karate Kong, and Ninja Kong. And that kind of furthered our understanding of, Kongs are just apes and monkeys from this region, from this neck of the woods, necky nutmare of the woods. And then, we got Baboom, who didn't have the Kong surname, but whatever, we'll roll with it. But then I think the Super Mario Brothers movie is what really put me at ease, that this was Nintendo's understanding of how Kongs work. Kongs are just everybody,
It's yeah.
Yeah, and so they were called the Kong Army in that movie, and I was like, it's one of those things where the Super Mario Brothers movie didn't work for me in anything but the Donkey Kong fan service. And I'm like, wow, and this Donkey Kong fan service, it's my opinion, look, not to toot my own horn here, I don't have an artistic bone in my body, but I'm an Emmy-winning screenwriter. Don't look it up, though. But anyway, I know about screenplay structure. I know about story structure. And Donkey Kong really ruined that movie. Ruined what the movie was supposed to be about. But as a Donkey Kong fan, I'm so glad it completely derailed that movie, because
I wouldn't change anything for the world.
No, it worked out for us, and the Donkey Kong stuff was the best part. So you know what? Whatever. I got mine. Screw everybody else. And it still made them millions of dollars. So everybody won except the critics who don't care about Donkey Kong. Whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever. So anyway, having just that understanding of how Kongs work validated by Nintendo, the same way they're kind of validating the Donkey Kong Jr. stuff now, I'm like, all right. We've always been on the same wavelength, Nintendo. We just, we've misunderstood each other for the past 23 years or so.
Yeah, but now we're all coming together.
So I already mentioned Void Kong. which some people don't like that name because it doesn't end in an E sound.
That's it. That's true. There's no E at the end, Hyle. I noticed.
We already blew past that though with Dread Kong and Sumo Kong. So
yeah, it's not like it's a solid rule. It was never like established. You have to have an E at the end of your name.
No, it's not a thing that it like has. It just, I think, a loose rule that Rare had, but even Rare toyed a couple times with not adhering to it. You know, there was Diet DK and
Redneck Kong.
Redneck Kong almost happened, yeah. So I think Redneck Kong was really what put me at ease. I mean, Konga Kong, but, you know, that's kind of unofficial in it.
Right.
So I think...
You know what, Hyle? I think I'd be very surprised if Redneck Kong is not in at least 95% of this game.
Oh, you think that's going to be the last trailer, like, the week before launch? It's going to be like, here we go. We know you've been wanting to see this character. We've been building up to it. Redneck Kong.
Yeah, it's going to turn out that the reason Pauline looks so young is she's not Pauline at all. She goes from Odd Rock to Pauline, and then she's going to explode into Redneck Kong.
Oh, just like a Doctor Who regeneration. She's just like,
yeah.
Oh no, it's happening again! And then the game ends with a Redneck Kong, and he's like, whoa!
Gum gala, DK, it sure is great to be exploring this world with you.
And Donkey Kong's like, whoa! And then it's just like to be continued in the Donkey Kong Holiday Special 2028.
You know what? I wouldn't hate it.
I would love that so much. But they don't even explain it. Like, what does this have to do with Pauline? Does this mean Pauline was always Redneck? No, you gotta just keep buying Donkey Kong games. We're gonna make it even more complicated.
And you have to get the amiibo or else you don't get the secret ending.
Yeah, the Redneck Kong amiibo, but they don't want to spoil it, so they just sell it in a black bag. You can't see inside. Just a
with big question marks all over it.
Yeah. So Void Kong, the big burly Kong, who is the one responsible for, I guess, sculpting the armor of the Voidco enemies, but maybe also genetically engineering them. We don't know how it works. Is Grumpy Kong.
Yeah, I like him. I like Grumpy. Grumpy Kong might be my favorite of them. He just feels very unique.
Grumpy Kong is pretty close to Cranky Kong, I have to say.
Oh, that's true. He's stepping on some toes.
I mean, what is the difference between being grumpy and being cranky and being grumpy? I was going to say being grumpy sounds like you missed your nap time, but so does being cranky. I don't really know how to parse that.
Yeah, you know, I mean, more than one person can be called, like, Dave.
True, even though Cranky is an adopted name, his real name is Donkey Kong, so...
Yeah, that's a nickname to begin with. Maybe Grumpy Kong is this Kong's name since birth.
And he's Dave Kong.
Yeah.
he's Dave Kong is actually his nickname, and Grumpy Kong is his birth name. They've just gone reversely with it.
He grew into being called Dave.
Yeah, you have to earn...
After his original arcade game.
Nobody can be born Dave Kong. You've got to earn being Dave Kong.
Exactly, it's a title.
And then the kind of scientist, the, I guess, geologist who is working on excavating and figuring out a path to the planet core. I can't say planet core without hearing fucking Boss Nass from Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace.
Wow, what a reference. I can honestly say, Hyle, I was not at all thinking of Boss Nass.
Well, Boss Nass, voiced by Brian, was it Blessed? And he did narration for, I think was it the Tropical Freeze commercial in the UK?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, so am I saying his name right? I've never actually read it out loud.
I think so.
Okay, Brian Blessed or Brian Blessed, but yeah, so there is a connection.
I'm actually
there.
Not sure now.
There is a connection there between Boss Nass and the DKU.
True. So, Hyle, this is why you're in charge of this podcast.
You know what? I have all this useless knowledge and it's not benefiting the world in the slightest, but somebody's got to, like, have this rattling around in their head. I'm absorbing it so other people don't have to.
I guarantee you there's someone out there listening, and as soon as you made that connection, they went, no fucking way.
Andre.
Let's go.
Just Andre in the live stream says, it's pronounced blessed. I can't read this in text. The joke is, Andre wrote it out, so I don't know what is. And then Gigastrike says,
now I feel foolish.
And Gigastrike says, I thought it was pronounced, but they just wrote it out, so I don't know.
I feel stupid for not knowing that's how you pronounced it.
Terminally Online 2024, last year's model, says, we mining folk live simple lives, just mining, hauling cargo, and engineering corporate super soldiers to get magical wishes. Yep, just a simple life for me. I mean, that's pretty par for the course when it comes to the greater DKU, right? Like, how many people genetically engineer these soldiers? We've got Klungo doing it for Gruntilda. We've got the Professor from Concord doing the Teddies. We've got like Dr. Quack making the corplets and ukulele.
Do you think the Professor in Conquer made the Teddies because he himself cannot have children?
Yeah, I think they all are infertile, but they yearned to cradle a small child. It's the same reason Donkey Kong shatters the timeline to bring young versions of characters forward in time. Up to
right, they have so much love to give.
Up to and including Baby Mario, Baby Luigi, Baby Peach, and so on. He just loves children, and he's run out of sidekicks.
So I have to cross timelines and just pluck someone out of it.
Traveler of the Star says, I'm back. What did I miss? Well, you missed a discussion of Star Wars character Boss Nass. So you didn't miss much.
Hey, depending on who you ask.
Anyway, I haven't even said this character's name. Oh my god. The Geologist Kong, the femme fatale, the one who we've already seen erotic fan art of, and now we're going to see her paired with Zebra Donkey Kong. Poppy Kong.
Poppy Kong.
Poppy Kong. Poppy, like the seeds you get stuck in your teeth when you eat an everything bagel.
See, I don't eat everything bagels for that exact reason. I don't like stuff in my teeth.
I don't eat them because they make your breath stink. And here's the thing. I want to remain perfectly kissable throughout the day. You
never know when Donkey Kong is going to show up.
You never know. You never know when K. Rool will vor you. And so I
want to have minty breath when that happens.
At a bare minimum, I want to always be at my sexiest. I want to be ready to go for action wherever it may strike. And so I don't eat everything bagels, and I don't get the poppy seed stuck on my teeth. So Poppy Kong is probably the most villainous of the three.
That's true. She's going to make everyone's breath smell bad.
God, I wish Smash Brothers still had trophy descriptions, because that would be that's just like no paragraph, just one sentence. She makes everybody's breath smell bad.
And that's it.
Yeah. All right. Well, I like the way Voidco look. I like that they're Kongs. Yeah. I like that there's no question about that, and no long lingering fan debates, and people will be like, actually Mario Wiki says they're not Kongs. And I'm just like, all right.
It says they're Kongs.
It says they're Kongs.
Sorry.
Rethink your life. Rethink your opinions about Baboom from Tropical Freeze. Rethink your opinions about Conga from Banjo-Kazooie.
It's all the same. They're all Kongs. I think where I'm at with it is I like these guys a lot. Their designs are a lot of fun. I love that we're getting new Kongs. So if it turns out K. Rool is not involved in any way, I'll be a little disappointed. But, I like these guys a lot more than the retro villains.
I love the Snowmats. I hate Lord Frederick.
Yeah, I'm mainly just talking about Frederick, the head of the Snowmats. The Snowmats themselves I like fine.
All the bosses, too, of the Snowmats are great, except Lord Frederick, in my opinion.
It really is just... Yeah, Bashmaster. Pompey.
Pompey, Scowl. People love Scowl.
Scowl's great.
Baboom Kong.
Yeah, and that's probably all of them.
And I like what the Tikis bring to the mythology. I love what the Tikis bring to the mythology. I just don't really care for the Tikis themselves. With this, I'm on the fence about all the oid enemies, the buzzoids, the crocoids, the whatever, hogoids, but
I feel like I can be convinced. I feel like we've seen so little of them that it's hard for me to form an opinion on them right now.
Yeah.
But they could grow on me. I could see myself liking them. But these like actual in charge Void Kongs, I think are all very good.
That's my opinion. Like, I really like the what's being presented as the three primary antagonists. Whether or not K. Rool factors into the end game or has his fingers in the pie or shows up at all, we will see. But I always wanted Donkey Kong to have a large rogues gallery like the Batman. And like Harvey Dent said, you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. And he became Batman's villain, Two-Face. And sometimes you need to fight the Two-Face because the Joker is just played out. Now, K. Rool is not played out anymore because it's been so long since he's served as the antagonist of a Donkey Kong game. So I
think that's the thing. Like
that is the thing.
Joker. Yeah. If the Joker didn't show up for like almost 20 years, I think that would be a different situation.
Well, and that is like the thing too, is the Joker did stop showing up in Batman comics for a long time. And then they brought him back. And it was like a big thing in like the 70s, I think. Or at least they brought him back to his roots as like a sadistic, homicidal clown. And I think the Joker is completely played out. I think he's been played out for decades now. But K. Rool isn't. And I do want, like, just let it be known. Like, I really want K. Rool in this game. It's just not a deal breaker for me.
Yeah, same.
And
I'd really like K. Rool to be back, but I'm not going to let it ruin what otherwise looks like a wonderful game.
Yeah, and I am optimistic about K. Rool's future, even if for whatever reason he's not in Bananza. They're not going out of their way to avoid K. Rool, as we'll talk about in just a little bit. But I think it's just too much is unknown right now, and I'm keeping an open mind. And on the surface level, I do like Void Kong, Grumpy Kong. It sounds like a Snow White dwarf, man. And Poppy Kong. Maybe I need to be sold on Grumpy Kong's name, but Poppy Kong, that's nice.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Makes your breath stink.
And what else do you want in a Kong?
So, let's talk about the big thing. The thing that made me squeal like a little piggy.
I heard it all the way over here.
You were like, is that Professor Chops? Did they just announce Professor Chops is in the game? No, it's just Hyle screaming from 2 time zones away.
My mistake.
Oh my god! Diddy and Dixie are in Donkey Kong Bananza.
Yeah, and this was like the big thing I wanted to see. More than Kremlings, more than K. Rool. I just wanted to see Diddy and Dixie back.
It was such an under-the-radar thing. They actually appeared before most of us realized they appeared. I'm sure somebody out there saw them right away. But, I talked about my trailer blindness where I can't process what I'm seeing. And this was really challenging for me because this was 16 minutes of new information. And so I didn't see them until the very end when it was super obvious that they were there. And...
Right.
And when I saw them, I was just like, Diddy and Dick! And I think everybody, that was the moment that it was like brought home for us. But Diddy and Dixie are in Donkey Kong Bananza, and they are hosting what's effectively Donkey Kong Racing at long last. It is a racing game called Ramby Rumble.
Ramby Rumble. And the R looks like Ramby.
And the R, and who made Donkey Kong games that are known for their R and their arse? Rare.
Oh,
It's a golden R, but it's Rambi, but it's like rare, but it's Rambi Rumble from the Rare game when the giant bee chased you.
I'm losing my freaking mind. I'm going out of my freaking gourd, Hyle.
Is that a Family Guy reference?
No.
Oh, well,
But it is pretty freaking sweet, isn't it?
You sounded like Peter Griffin for a second, and I'm like,
oh my god, I'm going out of my freaking gourd, Lois. Dixie and Diddy Kong are into video game? Oh my god.
So weird hearing Peter Griffin say their names. It's just foul. It's like some sort of Lovecraftian horror unearthed.
A cursed.
Yeah. Okay, I knew Diddy was I didn't know. I didn't know shit. But
it seemed likely, at least.
Yeah, part of me was like, Diddy's got to show up somewhere, even if it's just a small cameo. They're going out of their way. Cameron just stumbled upon the new Nintendo signage at Best Buy, and Donkey and Diddy are prominently paired together above the Switch 2 products. And I'm just like, yeah, I know we're getting more Donkey Kong games after this. It's a bold new era for Donkey Kong. And Diddy will definitely be a part of that. But it's like, it's weird that your first new game, you just don't put him in there. You don't acknowledge him. So I was kind of like, he's going to show up at Ingot Isle or somewhere. Maybe he'll, I don't know, run a bed and breakfast. Maybe he'll, I don't know.
You just knew he would be in there somewhere.
He'll do erotic sculpting of Donkey Kong as a zebra man. I don't know. But Dixie legitimately astonishes me in the best way. Dixie, I did not... of course there's a possibility. I mean, we've been talking about a possibility Swanky and Chunky would be in there, so she was never, off the table. But Dixie... Right. Dixie has always been this kind of hit or miss thing, where even in the Rare era, they didn't use Dixie post 1997 all the time. Dixie wasn't in DK64, and I do like Tiny. It's whatever, but I think Dixie really deserved to be in that game, and it was kind of a massive insult to what had come before that they excluded her.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Like you said, Dixie was just never a guarantee. And I think back to Donkey Kong Country Returns, how that was the big return of Donkey Kong Country, and they just stick to the basics. Donkey Kong, Diddy Kong, Cranky Kong, and Rambi and Squawks. So it just always feels like, oh, well, this is the next big Donkey Kong game again. What if they just do that again? What if they're like, okay, we'll just keep the important stuff? And now we know Dixie is one of those important things.
Dixie's also in the theme park. She appears on the new Donkey Kong calendar. So it's like, I was never worried about Dixie. She's in a Super Mario Brothers movie, but it's just like,
Tropical
I feel like
Freeze. She's established that she's been a big part of the series for a while now.
Right, but it's just like Dixie, in my mind, is the third protagonist of the series, which means she will always come third. Donkey Kong will always be there. Diddy Kong might show up, probably, but Dixie, hit or miss. And the fact that they paired her with Diddy and that they're running this thing together as a couple, it's just the most delicious bit of jubilation, because they are my two favorite characters ever. Right? Bar none, they're my favorite characters. And so to have them together, to have them running this racing game, Diddy Kong Racing, effectively, but Donkey Kong Racing in execution. And around the little arena, around the racetrack, they have signage, and it says Double Trouble.
I get it, like the video game.
Like the fucking video game. There's a giant trophy with their faces on it. When I say a giant trophy, I mean it's the size of an office building.
Yeah, it's massive.
It's on a star barrel.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think not a lot of people noticed that right away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think more people noticed the star barrel and they didn't notice what was on top of the star barrel, which was a giant trophy with Dixie and Diddy's face on it. It's great. And
Yeah, I want to own that.
I would live in it.
That's my new home.
Full name TBD says late game reveal that Diddy and Dixie tie the knot. How do you feel? I'd be for it.
Yeah, I'm down.
If we're following
Progression in characters.
if we're following real time, they're both in their 40s. So like, sure. Traveler Star says, I think Chunky and Swanky will be in something in the future, if not Bananza. Again, that's the great thing about this era. Anything feels possible.
Yeah, like, I don't think it's a guarantee that we'll see them, but it really is the first time in a long time where it's felt like it could happen.
We've already seen them in the Super Mario Brothers movie, though, Dustin. So it really does just feel like it's inevitable. And also this is our first glimpse of Dixie Kong's redesign, and I guess we'll do a whole episode about this once we get like a better view of her render or whatever. But Dixie Kong has been slightly redesigned to fit the movie, or rather, the movie was our first indication of her redesign. And she's got the gold pin on her beret. And this was actually figured out by somebody earlier this week, I think. I forget where I saw it, but somebody was able to get like a 4K blown up resolution of the Super Mario Brothers movie. They zoomed in on like the 1 or 2 shots where it was super discernible what it was on her hat, because we thought it might be a DX pin, like Diddy's
right,
DD
like Diddy
pin.
has the DD.
It turns out it is a golden guitar pick.
Yeah, that's fun. That's a good choice.
That's amazing. Because yes, Dixie plays the guitar. I mean, we saw this in the Lego Donkey Kong sub-series. Dixie Kong's Lego set was her playing guitar. And that's, of course, a reference to Donkey Kong Country 2. But the fact that she is a guitarist is just such a discernible part of her character that has been carried forward into this new era, and is such a brilliant stroke. I never had this idea. I don't think any of us had this idea. How do you replace that rare pin? One of the things people went to was a golden banana pin. But a guitar pick is just so individualized to Dixie that I love it.
I also love it as well, Hyle.
We're in agreement. We're just lovers of all things Dixie's beret right now.
Yeah, things are really coming up strong for Dixie's beret right now. We're in the age of Dixie's beret.
It's so weird, too, to see Donkey Kong and this young version of Pauline racing Diddy and Dixie on 2 rhinos. Now, it's called Ramby Rumble, so I assume one of them is Ramby. But there's 2 rhinos here. What's the other rhino?
Yeah, they can't both be Ramby.
So is this Ramby? Like the second one? Not Rambe, so that doesn't really work. But yeah, I mean, we're gonna have to come up with some fanon names if they don't provide it.
Oh yeah, DK Vine's never had to do that before.
No, I know. They're really putting us out right now. So also, did you notice the banana, or not the, well, they might be banana cannons, but there are barrels on either side of the rhinos.
I sure did.
They're strapped on the rhinos, and this reminds me of the banana cannons from Mario Kart Tour. It's Diddy's signature weapon in Mario Kart Tour. They shoot bananas in front of you. And it could be that. They could be jets. You get a little jet boost, and it could be like Diddy's jetpack. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I immediately thought of Barrel Blast.
A little bit of Barrel Blast, yeah. So I'm curious. I'm curious to see what these do.
Yeah, me too. I this was definitely my favorite part of the direct, seeing these returning faces, seeing them riding Ramby. I really want to know more about it. Like, are they only going to be in this layer of the world? Are they going to have races in every layer? Will they do other things?
I think they appear in multiple layers because you see in the footage we've seen and the screenshots we've seen that they are apparently set up in this ingot isle wreckage that fell through the layers. And so and there's like, they also have like other people with them, like monkey miners. And so I think they just set up shop to run this racing game. And Cameron says, I think one of the screenshots shows them with turbines inside like Diddy's jetpack. Yeah, I haven't been able to keep up since I have been like locked down in news writing and podcast recording. So Andre confirms. So yeah, that's what they are. So good, because you know why? Those barrel cannons absolutely suck in Mario Kart Tour. They're the worst weapon. They make Diddy and Funky two of the worst characters to play as. So what a relief.
What do they do?
They shoot banana peels in front of you. And
they shoot them in front of you, so you can hit them?
You can hit them, yeah.
That's stinky.
They're dumb. They're dumb, and Diddy and Funky should feel dumb for using them.
They really should. They should be shamed.
Yeah, I'm so happy Diddy and Dixie are in this, and they're together. Yeah. Like, it really makes...
Is this, like, the first time in a long time that we've seen just Diddy and Dixie just together doing things together?
As a duo, like, not part of a group or not part of... Yeah, I think so. Like, it has to be.
That's cool.
You know, like... It really makes everything go down easier. Like a 3D Donkey Kong game where my boy Diddy is unplayable, or Dixie is unplayable. Okay, but at least they're in there. Fucking great.
That's like, all I wanted. And I was hoping it would be a sizable role. So hopefully they do have more going than this. But I'm excited to find out what their roles are. Beyond just a race.
March Rose says, what other Kongs do you think will have challenges? Swanky should be in there with a quiz. You know, we still don't know the source of that slap bass porno riff that we've been hearing in the Nintendo Today videos. It's like... And it's like the kind of music you would draw K-Rool Vor art to, right? And the theory is, well, that sounds like Funky. And, like, I wouldn't be surprised if Funky was in there. But I also wouldn't be surprised if that belonged to Swanky Kong, because if any character is going to have a porno anthem, it probably would be Swanky Kong.
I think so, too. I think that's safe to assume.
Yeah. And, like, I am just, I'm so pleased that they're in there, and it's a little bit of a weight off my shoulders, off all of our shoulders.
Yeah.
And now we can just enjoy.
You said it does help it go down smoother. That was, like, the one thing I was waiting for. And now that it's here, I'm like, okay, I can take, not that I had a problem with, much else that we've seen, but... now I'm just like, all right, whatever else happens, I'm here for it. I'm totally down.
Now, you know, Donkey Kong fans have a reputation, but I think it's just a misunderstanding, a misreading of some of us. It's not that we're adverse to new things.
Definitely not.
We just want new things with the old things. We don't want new things to constantly replace the old things.
Yeah, we just don't want the old things to be completely gotten rid of.
Yeah, and I think, like, I always said that about Jungle Beat. Jungle Beat would have gone down so much smoother had Diddy just been in there somewhere.
Yeah, and I think it's a fair position to be in. Like, would people still be okay if, like, there was a brand new Mario game that only had, like, Mario and coins as, like, the only elements that carry over?
It's unthinkable, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, eager to see, more of them, what else they do, but one source of disappointment character-wise that I've garnered is that, we've talked about, like, who's running the style shop? Is it Swanky Kong?
Oh, yeah.
Is it somebody else? And it looks like it's mostly going to be a service provided by the Fractones?
Fracty and the Fractones playing this summer.
The rock entities that live in the underground world.
Yeah.
This might not be the case in every layer. We don't know, but we have seen them run some of the outlets in the Bananza Direct.
Yeah, I don't love that. They're just kind of generic rock guys. Like, they don't strike me as, like, characters.
To be fair, we don't know a lot about them yet.
Yeah, true.
So, keeping an open mind about them. I do like that there are other entities beyond what each layer is themed after. Like, I like that there is a civilization in the underground world that just goes beyond, this is the level for the Kongs, and this is the level for the ostriches, and the zebras, and the giraffes. And, like, there are also these rock folk who live amongst them.
Yeah, so, I mean, maybe they'll grow on me. Right now, I'm not super into them, but yeah, maybe I'll grow to like them.
Bayan the Bear says, reminds me of when, before Odyssey came out, a lot of us thought Wario and Waluigi would run it. And Triple Starbeam says, what if they're all transformed characters like Odd Rock? That was Jeff's theory, that these rock folk could be all transformed, but it seems like there's a civilization unto themselves. Maybe they're all, like, maybe I don't know. Maybe they become the Kremlings. I don't know. It's a prequel after all, and the planet core turns them into crocodile people. I don't know.
Yeah, who's to say at this point?
Who's to say? So the last thing I think we have to discuss, unless I'm speaking out of turn and I'm skipping over something. Obviously, we could keep talking about this direct for hours and hours upon end, but we have to draw the line somewhere. We have to provide content for upcoming episodes. And I think just as a cursory, like, oh my God, this just happened, let's react to it. I think we've hit the spot pretty well, but we haven't discussed the amiibo support and the new Donkey Kong and Pauline amiibo that we are getting tied into this game. This is the first Donkey Kong game to have amiibo support, because Tropical Freeze came out right before amiibo were a thing.
Yeah. Just bad timing.
Terrible timing, and the fact that they didn't, like, release a set after it came out and, like, retroactively, like, had some sort of amiibo. Like, I wanted a Dixie Kong amiibo. I wanted a Cranky Kong amiibo.
Yeah, it sucks. I would have totally bought, like, every Donkey Kong related amiibo, and I have so far.
Well, I only have the Diddy power up band. I don't have the DK power up band, but
oh yeah, I don't have the power up bands. I just have the actual amiibos.
So I was kind of surprised because, amiibo, it's kind of hit or miss, but for their big releases, they have been releasing at least one amiibo, it seems like, and. Thank God we're getting a new amiibo! Yay! So,
yay! The downside is it's probably going to be really expensive now.
Yeah.
Amiibos in general cost a lot more now, these new ones.
Yeah, thanks, capital gains tax. I'm mixing up my political struggles here. The amiibo announcement came with this picture, because all Donkey Kong series amiibo will be able to summon in the game massive KONG letters, or as they said in the direct and press release, Kong panels. And you can throw them, you can chuck them, And it was interesting what they showed for the Donkey Kong series amiibo. Because, of course, we've never had any Donkey Kong branded amiibo. They've always been part of other series. So
Right.
we've got from the Super Smash Brothers games, Donkey Kong, Diddy Kong, and King K. Rool were shown.
Oh.
Oh, I know. And from the Super Mario sub-series, we had the Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong amiibo they released. And then we have the power-up bands from Super Nintendo World. And the new amiibo of Donkey Kong and Pauline together. It's one amiibo. They're not two separate ones. Pauline or young Pauline riding on Donkey Kong's shoulders. And they didn't show the Skylanders Donkey Kong or turbocharged like the dark Donkey Kong from the Skylander series, which whatever, probably
That's its own little weird deal.
It's a hybrid, and it's been 10 years. 10 years.
You're not going to be able to buy that.
Well, it's been 10 years since they announced that, and I'm sure whatever deal they had with Activision has long since expired. So, they won't show it, but it might work. We'll see. That'll be the first one I test. But yeah, it's really cool to see because, yes, this was our King K. Rool acknowledgement, and I know a lot of people are going to turn up their nose and say that was nothing. That was, they showed it, but,
that means King K. Rool has to be on their radar at the very least.
King K. Rool hasn't been forgotten about. That's the point I've been trying to make. Like, you can move those goalposts all you want. King K. Rool is a character in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. I don't understand how we are just dismissing that as nothing. And they're like, well, K. Rool hasn't been in anything since. Well, there hasn't been any Donkey Kong games since.
Yeah. What if, wouldn't it be fun if you scan the K. Rool amiibo and it drops K. Rool into the game and you can throw him at something and he'll explode and die?
Yeah, and then it pops up on the screen, K. Rool is dead, parentheses, forever.
And never coming back.
And then his soul pops out, but then, like, Luigi runs in and he, like, eradicates K. Rool's ghost. And he can never appear again.
Not even his dead ghost.
No, he's just done. He ceases to be forever. Anyway.
He can't even go to hell because his soul no longer exists.
No, he's just gone.
And then Donkey Kong goes, ook, ook.
At least K. Rool would be in it, though.
Yeah, you know what? That's true.
Take some solace there.
Yeah.
So, the Donkey Kong and Pauline amiibo, according to the press release, you'll receive Kong tiles with explosive power by using this. I don't know if this is different from the other Kong tiles that the Donkey Kong series amiibo unlock, but
it sounded like that was the same.
Okay, well, the press release wasn't quite clear now, was it?
I guess not.
And that will also unlock Pauline's in-game diva dress early. Which, whatever that means, so, I don't know what this means. If this means it's something you would naturally unlock later in the game, or if this hints towards DLC.
What it sounds like to me is this is a costume you will be able to get later in the game, but it'll unlock early. That's the same way the amiibos worked in Mario Odyssey. Okay. The costumed characters, like if you had Diddy Kong's amiibo or Luigi or Wario or Waluigi, it would unlock their costume that you could wear. But it would just give it to you. But if you don't have those amiibos, you can still buy them in-game at a certain point.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I guess I should really play Super Mario Odyssey then, shouldn't I?
Oh, I'm excited for you to play it.
Yeah, you know what? I'll get on it. I'm busy, right? I had a Donkey Kong Bananza direct this morning. Dustin?
I know, Hyle, you're a busy boy. I'm just excited for when you do get around to it. I'm looking forward to it.
I have to reference all this bullshit that nobody else bothers to Donkey Kong.
That's true, Hyle. You have a hard life.
Chocolate Milk Drinker is here and says, I hope we get a squeaky teen voice cover of Jump Up Superstar.
That'd be fun. I like Jump Up Superstar. I just wonder if they'll want to do a carryover like that, or if it'll be just the new songs.
Yeah, this is a Donkey Kong game. All right, keep your Super Mario bullshit confined to that series. In Donkey Kong, we celebrate Donkey Kong things like Diddy's Ditties, the classic Donkey Kong medley of children's songs.
I'm gonna throw my Switch 2 out the fucking window if that song's not in it.
Yeah, I know. You should what should happen is, you can get the Kong letters if you scan Donkey Kong Series amiibo, but if you scan the Diddy amiibo, it should drop letters that say bingo.
Go bingo.
Go bingo. So on that note, I think we don't really have much else to discuss. Yes, we could discuss other things like all the moves. Who wants to talk about chunk jumping, everybody? Chunk jumping! There's chunk jumping. Turf surfing looks amazing. I'm really excited about that.
That's my favorite thing I've seen is the turf surf. It looks so fun.
Yeah.
And we saw surf surfing too. You can just actually do regular surfing too.
Yeah. Claire says, I am excited to see that ostrich layer. My racing ostrich theory will be validated. And yes, Elsie Lapin or LCL Apin, either one works. That is a guitar pick pin in Dixie's beret. You're right. That Dixie is a guitarist. It is established in canon, in Lego. Everywhere you look right now, Dixie is a guitarist. So, yep.
Love it. Love everything about it.
Chris is here, says Chumbawamba's chunk jumping is an all-time classic. It's disappointing that there is no Chumbawamba in Donkey Konga, considering their classic album came out right before Diddy Kong Racing did, so we all associate it with Diddy Kong Racing, don't we?
Yeah, I know I do. Tub thumping is in Samba de Amigo, so what's Donkey Konga's excuse?
Well, Donkey Konga had so many excuses, and I don't think we should tolerate it anymore. Now that we are getting Donkey Kong games full of Donkey Kong music, and new music, and Pauline music, young Pauline music, time travel Pauline music. We don't know. We don't know. It's so many mysteries, so many questions yet to be answered. Stinky Ape Summer is just getting started.
Stinkier than ever.
I worked up a sweat for this one.
Oh, I can smell it along with your breath from your everything bagels.
Yeah, I know. Right? Like, I really shouldn't have had that bagel because now I'm definitely not kissable. And what am I going to do now that the podcast is done?
This has been a File 2 production.
Que rico.